What's up, y'all? This is Nina Perez, and this is Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. I am so stoked you are here. We are into the new year, so I am excited to see all what this year will bring. So, thank you so much for hanging out and for downloading the episodes and doing everything that you do because I go around this amazing planet finding the best humans I can find to come on here to grow, challenge, and transform your thinking. Now, I found somebody who has such a great background. I cannot wait to introduce her to you. Her name is Malene Bendtsen. I hope I said that right. She is an author, a business strategist, teaching experts, teachers, and public speakers and other freedom seekers how to write, publish, and market their books. Isn't that freaking awesome? And she is also the editor of more than over 30 nonfiction books, which on average sold about 5 times market average and created significant business growth for the author. So I know a lot of you guys that I speak to already have books or are creating more books. I myself wrote a book. I'm writing another one. This is exciting. I can't wait to speak to you, Malene. Welcome to Straight Talk. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm good today. Thank you.
Good, good. I'm glad. I know that you're on the other side of the ocean from me, but I'm glad that you were able to, we were able to connect some time that worked for both of us. And
Yes.
so the way I like to start this off, Marlene, is for people to get to know you. So my first question is always, who are you? Who are you, Marlene? By the way, did I say your name right? Is it Benston?
Malene Bendtsen.
Benson. Okay,
Yeah.
Benson.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I think what is most uncommon about me is professionally is that I do not have a journalism background or some other kind of writing background. I have a business background. So I
Oh,
used to
nice.
be head of innovation in an insurance company. I was a teacher for adults many, many years teaching IT. That's back when you needed to teach people how to use
Yeah,
uh,
I
Word
remember
and
the
Excel
days.
and
I remember.
do not hit enter after each line of text. That's what I did.
Oh my gosh, so
um,
funny.
so I have tried a gazillion things in my career, but what brought me to this point was actually that in 2014 I decided to go backpacking in South America, and I was supposed to be 5 months in Lima because I wanted to learn Spanish and
Nice.
do some consultancy and figure out what kind of business I wanted to start, and then travel 2 months and then go home. But I'd only been there for 3 weeks when I met this Danish man who is married to a Peruvian woman. I had been there for 2 decades, and he had a small
Wow.
startup company that were digitalizing print books into ebooks. So they
Oh,
were that was a kind of a conversion business, and he wanted me as a consultant to help him raise funds from a very successful Danish self-publisher, and help them develop that into a Spanish language platform.
wow.
So within a month after arriving in Lima, I found myself the CEO of a startup company doing self-publication of books.
That's so cool.
So
Yeah.
it was kind of a coincidence, but books and studying and uh, doing reports as a student, I was at exams for 20 years in a row because I cannot stop learning. I just
Right.
love that
Right.
we're diving into a subject and creating something out of that other people
Right.
can understand. So it just felt so right. So when I returned to Denmark after 2 years, I decided, well, first of all, my inbox was full of people who knew I'd been traveling and wanted to catch up, and also they had books they wanted to publish.
Wow.
So that's
Wow.
how I got into that.
That's so cool though, right? Because I mean, it kind of found you then. It found you,
It
right?
did.
Yeah, and it's interesting, that you started with saying, I never really did all of that before, and it's not what I went to school for. And I don't think that matters really. I think most of us bump into our calling or bump into what we're supposed to be doing. And
Yes,
how many times and now is it uh Maylene or Marlene? How do you say your first name?
Malena.
Melina.
Yeah.
Did I spell it right? Malene?
Yes, you
Okay.
did.
So
Yeah.
Melina, it's interesting to me, like even people like here in the States and probably even in Europe where you are, like when you go to college and you think this is what you should be doing, and then you never even
Yeah.
do what you went to college for. you know?
No,
Yeah,
no, I started out as an accountant. So
right,
I've done so many things. I've done so many
right.
things, but what has always been like the common denominator was moving people's heads from A to B.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
what are the core skills that I need to be a great book coach or to be a great author, really?
Mhm.
When it's nonfiction books, and my clients are primarily they are solo entrepreneurs. They have a teaching business, so they
Yeah,
teach the subject already. We don't need creative writing for that. What we need is to get it to efficiently get it out of their head and into a book format. That's what we need, and then we need the
right.
book to be. We need to be very strategic about the book, not only how to sell it, but what is the role this book is going to play in your business. That
Mm,
sets
mm.
the framework for the boundaries for what kind of book should you write, not
Right,
necessarily the one you want to write, which one will most effectively attract customers to your business. These are business and marketing skills.
right,
That's not writing skills.
right.
So in fact, even though I'm editing and I'm pretty good at editing, what I actually have my authors do is speak their book or use now also artificial intelligence for writing their book.
Mm,
Because we, every hour that they spend writing on their book, that they that really doesn't add any more value. It's just an inefficient method.
right, right.
But if it doesn't add value to the book, that hour is better sold to a customer.
Right,
So
right, right. That's very good. That's really, really good. And I think you're giving us a different way to look at things too. Do you find that ebooks and stuff like that are still very effective for a business tool?
well, when we talk about ebooks, there's a little bit confusion about what an ebook is. So what we
Right.
see in marketing funnels are quite often a PDF,
Mhm,
and that's
mhm.
not actually an ebook. I think people download it with an intent to read it, but they don't. And
Right.
I think whether or not people want detailed information depends very much on your customer type that you have. What
Mhm,
what are
mhm.
their preferred way of moving forward, really? For some, everything text is annoying. For
Right.
others, they want all the details. So I
Mhm,
think that
mhm.
very much depends on your audience. But
Okay.
just to circle back to the ebook, and an ebook as a real book where you do the paperback and you do the hardback and you do the ebook, that kind of ebook is a programmed book, and it is designed to adapt to the screen that people are reading on. So that's a really big difference from
Okay.
a PDF. And those ebooks, people buy them instead of paper books, or they buy it first to see if they like it, and then they buy the paper book.
Right.
But they mainly buy it not to carry books during
Right.
traveling and wherever they
Right.
go. Yeah.
That's a really great distinction. Thank you. You're absolutely right. There's been times where I have looked at a topic, let's say neuroscience or something that I've been interested in, and I'll download that free ebook, and it is a PDF type of ebook,
Yes.
right? That's
Yes.
very interesting because I always just assumed that that was the ebook. Now, I wrote my autobiography and I put it in an ebook format, but I did it through KDP, right? So I did it through
Yes.
KDP and I did it that way. And you're right, it is a different feel that I don't know why I didn't associate that, but that's very, very true. So when you talk to your authors, are you're having them write the content and everything first, or are you helping them with the content and structure? Tell me a little bit about what it is your role is with an author.
Well, sometimes I just help them publish it. So they have already a written manuscript when I meet them. So
Okay.
sometimes I edit that. Sometimes we proofread it. Quite often, if it's all finished, what I help them with is to make some adaptations, some changes, so that it will fit a design that fits their brand. So we do
Mm,
the design process and the actual publication process, and then of course we do a lot of marketing as well. I don't do it for them, but I guide them on what
okay.
they should do. I think the biggest problem in book marketing is, one, people don't do it enough.
Right. That's
most
true.
people most people
That's
consider
true.
the actual launch day, that's the finish line, and we celebrate, and we have a dinner or a reception or something, and we celebrate that this book is out, and then they are exhausted and they do nothing more.
Yeah.
But what
Yeah.
I want to kind of uh, inspire them to think about is that that's preparation.
Yeah.
We're doing this for the purpose of having a book and getting into conversations about our book. That's why we do it. So we shouldn't spend all that time creating it. We should spend that time doing the marketing instead.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's why we kind of try to find smarter ways of getting a great book faster, and then spend our time on the marketing side. But these are branding books, so they have to be beautiful. Of course, they
Yeah.
have to be beautiful. It has to
Yeah.
be high quality. So it is important. But they're used to teaching, so it's really not as difficult as they anticipate. It really
Right.
isn't.
Right. Yeah. That's interesting that you said that because I have a journal that I'm writing, right? Because I have a platform that I help people transcend their shame, especially women. I help them transcend their shame and self actualize and become the best version of themselves, right? So I'm
Yeah.
making actually a journal to go with that journey in the program. And
Yes.
I thought about what you're saying as well, because, I think, and you know this because you're in this space, but I know immediately when something was made in like Canva
Yeah.
or when something was made by a professional. It's a
Yes.
huge difference. And one of
Yes.
the things I do, and you probably do this, and I think a lot of you who are listening who want to buy books do this, is I always look on the inside of the book as well. How is it formatted? What does it look like inside? If it looks like something that's really, really amateur, I don't buy it because
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to
Yeah.
bring me value.
Yeah.
But not that the content won't be valuable, but you have to present yourself, right? It's that saying, right? Don't judge a book by its cover, but you kind of do judge a book by its cover, right? Especially in this case,
Yes.
you do
Yes.
judge a book by its cover.
Yes.
And so that's very interesting. So if you can give one of these people who are listening, or even I, who was in the middle of writing this journal, what's like the first thing you think people should be looking at or doing when they're starting this journey?
When they before they even start writing, I think the problem that when people get stuck, I usually say the third time people get to page 50, that's when they call me. and and what is always the problem is that we don't separate making decisions about what goes into the book from
Right.
the process of creating and producing text. These are two
Right.
completely different processes, and we tend to think it's okay with even a one page outline of the book, and we feel kind of, I've got a structure now, because people find the creating a good structure difficult. So when they have a structure, they are happy with that.
Right,
But
right.
what I always tell them is that you need to have made all of the decisions before starting to write.
It's
Otherwise, you
good.
will what will actually happen is that when you type something and you're watching your screen, that becomes images. So even though they are words, they become images in, and
Yeah.
that triggers. I'm simplifying a lot, left and right side of the brain now, but for the purpose of understanding it, it works.
Mhm.
So that triggers the right side of the brain, which is the creative side.
Right,
So
right.
we will start having more ideas. Having the right side of the brain needs to present the task to be done to the left side of the brain. And if we
Mhm.
haven't decided everything, we will have these shifts that we write something, and then we start getting creative, and we want to put that somewhere, and for a while that works. You can scroll up and down, and you can consider it even a productive process, that like an artist, when they start painting, something will come to them.
Mhm.
But when you're writing such a long document, that's not a useful method. It is
It's true. That's
For
very
a
true.
LinkedIn blog post. I usually don't know what I want to write when I start writing, but for something longer, what happens is you will go back and add something more at the top, and then you need to rewrite a little here and there, and then you scroll up and down 50 pages, and then they call me because they never have
Right.
this feeling of they get lost in their own manuscript.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
they start doubting, what was it I wanted to say? Is it even a good structure that I decided? But
Yeah.
also, they have zero sense of whether there will be enough content or too much content.
Right.
So what we do is we make the detailed disposition, and then we either start typing it, but knowing, and when I say detailed, I mean like 15 to 20 pages, bullet points for everything you want to go into that book. So there are no questions in that. So if
That's
there's a
awesome.
question, I ask, oh, so you need to put the answer to what's the answer.
Yeah, that's really good. That's
Yeah.
really good.
And
Yeah.
and when you've done that, you can actually speak the entire thing in a day, and then auto translate it, auto transcribe it, and then edit from there. And for a busy business person, this also makes it possible to very early, we're talking in a week, you can hand it over to someone and have them come back with a suggestion of what your book should look like. But as long
Mm.
as it's in your head, you cannot get help.
Yeah, so what you're doing basically is front loading the process, right? So they're
Exactly.
front loading all of the work and then it's easy, right?
Yes, it is.
I
Yes,
did
it is.
I didn't do it in bullet points, but I did it on a mind map. That's how
Yeah.
I wrote my first book. I broke it down into the dates I wanted to talk about, the what happened on those dates, why it happened on those dates, how I felt on those dates, and I
Yes.
broke it down that way. It took me a long time to get that mind map out,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it helped me so much. Like once I
Yes.
saw what I had to write, I was able to do it, right? So,
Spending a few days on that will save you months in
yeah,
writing and
yeah,
editing. Yeah.
right, and that's so cool. I'm glad you said that because a lot of people do it the first way you said, right? Exactly that way. You put a couple of ideas on a piece of paper and you think you're going to go and start writing.
Yeah.
And that is the discouragement that happens to a lot of people, right? Because they get halfway through, like you said, and then they're like, "Oh, I don't. I have writer's block. You know, I have writer's block. I can't write." But yet you're typing all. If you're texting all day, there's no writer's block. You
No.
just have to. You just need direction, right?
Yeah.
And I think, that's a super great tool that you just gave those who
It,
are listening because I think it's going to help them. Go ahead.
it's also a lot faster, not only because you're not rewriting, but
Right.
also you cannot, even if you're a super fast typer. I'm a pretty fast typer, but I can think a lot faster than I can type. I
That's
can
right.
speak maybe 10, 20 times faster than I can type. So it's also, in that respect, very efficient, that
Mhm.
you can quickly get to that point where you have your first draft. And then we accept, we're using the Pareto rule here, 80 20, the 80-20 rule. So we spent 20% of that time and we got 80% done. That also
Right.
means that it's okay, it's not perfect, because
Right.
we still have time.
Right.
Uh,
Right. Right.
we have a lot more time to do the nitty gritty and make it very beautiful in the end,
Right.
and raise the quality and add some really profound elements afterwards. But we need to get to that point where we kind of have the entire script, a first draft of everything, and we know exactly how long it is, and we know if we need to cut it or we need to add something, because a book can also be too small, and it can
Yeah.
definitely be too long because nobody wants to read uh, huge books.
Like a
Also, it will be,
textbook. Yeah.
yeah, and it will be too expensive also as a print on demand
Mhm.
solution.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's going to be too expensive to even cover your cost. So you
Right.
don't want a
That's true.
400-page book. You want it to be around 220, 250 pages maximum, and
Okay.
you get to knowing how much text you have so much faster using this method.
That's really a great idea. And I'm glad you gave them a guide too, because I think one of the questions I get asked all the time is how many pages, how many words should it be? How many? I'm like, I'm not a professional author. I just wrote my autobiography,
Yeah.
and I'm still, and it was a tough road to do because it was a lot of emotion involved in my
Yes.
autobiography. So, and sometimes I look at my book, I'm like, I think I want to rewrite it or re-edit it because I know that it was just me. It was just me writing a book. Um, what do you suggest to people who, just like what I just said, who have a book already and want to either enhance the book or get a professional to look at it? Do you think it's a smart idea to edit a book you've already published?
Well, that's the beauty of self-publishing.
Yeah,
We make our own choices.
right,
So, for example, when I wrote my first book, I wrote a book called Marketing Made Human, and it was an inspiration. It wasn't really super related to my business, but it was something I was passionate about. People's
right.
fear. It was for course creators, which is my audience, and it was about why do we feel this? Like, I gave a historic reason of why people are hesitant to doing sales and marketing,
Right.
and how to think differently about being a personal brand, that it's actually an advantage not to be a huge corporate brand.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
it was about that. And at the time, I wanted to sell a membership. I was planning to open a membership about that, and for course creators and course creation also. That's what I did, both of those things, books and that, at that point in time. But then after I published it, I decided, if I look at my business, what I do best and what people really love about what I do is the book part. So I'm going to go all in on that and kind of
Smart.
eliminate all of that other. But I
Yeah.
had put all of that information in the book. So there
Right.
was, if you want to be a member of this, you can go there. And so I had to edit the book. But on
Oh, I
Amazon,
see.
if you publish via KDP, it takes up to 72 hours before you can just upload a new file, hit publish, and then it has to go through their review process. But you don't have to take the old one off the market. You can just push out a new one.
Oh, I see.
I even changed my cover for the book. So you can
Okay.
definitely do that. You have to accept that your old version will be out there, especially if you chose to have expanded distribution.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Oh, okay.
that's really not a big problem.
That's a good idea though, because that means you could still be selling your old one. May people may even just buy that one or a new one, which they think will be a new and improved or a new version of whatever.
Yes.
That's a really good idea. Do you think that's also a good idea? Like I know that you did it about marketing, but is it a good idea for someone? I know a few people who have written autobiographies like myself. Is that a good idea to edit something like that, or just leave that how it is?
Well, you could say, is it, if it's bringing value to people, it depends on how important the book is for your business.
I see.
if
Yep.
if it's if it's a kind of a flagship for your business and a cornerstone in your business,
Mhm.
you might want to have the best possible book out there.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
some people, they write the book before they are very experienced in what they're going to do in their business, or it's still moving a little, like it was for me. It was still
Mhm.
moving a little,
Mhm.
even though I've done this for 6 years. There, it hasn't been super clear until the past 2 years that this
Mhm.
is the only thing that I do. Uh, so that's only natural as an entrepreneur, that you get more clarity on not only what you can do, but what you enjoy doing, and
Right.
where you have those good energies with your customers and so forth. And that's super important. So if the book is a branding book for that new business, I would definitely change it. But
Mhm.
if it's
Mhm.
more like the thing about personal stories is, and autobiographies is, that it's, the purpose can be to sell a lot of books, but sometimes it's also the process of writing
Mhm.
that's important to people. It's getting it out there, getting it set, help even one person, and it would
That's
be
it.
worth it.
That's
So
it. Yeah.
it depends on
Yeah.
how, what is this book to you and your business.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good. Thank you. Because I know a lot of people who listen to the show have books out there that they've self-published, like myself, and a lot of them are autobiographies, right? Personal
Yes.
stories.
Yes.
So I'm really glad you said that because something I've often toiled about in my head myself and even have spoken to other authors. And I'm thinking, I don't know if I want to rewrite my story because my story is impactful. It is what it is. It's all there.
Yes.
It's raw.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I would like to take the lessons I've learned in my life and write a book about that because that would align with my business, right? With
Yes.
shame and
Yes.
unforgiveness and all of that. So maybe
Yes.
that's what I'll do in the future, Marlene. So
And yeah, and I really think that's the best option, because
yeah.
you are an entrepreneur, and when you are an entrepreneur, you always need to think. One thing is to think about, would it be nice that this book was a different book out there? But the other question is, the time and the money I need to invest in doing that, could I spend them better for my
Mhm,
business?
mhm,
Yeah,
exactly.
and if
Yeah.
and probably writing a book that is even more closely connected to a marketing funnel in your business
Mhm.
is more interesting. You can always redo the other one later.
Yeah, 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 exactly. That's
Mhm.
really, really great. You're dropping a lot of knowledge here. So I'm gonna ask you another question. So for those who are listening and are authors or are thinking about writing, do you have like certain AI, like I know you mentioned AI, like certain AI or certain tools that they should maybe look into that will help them get started or inspire them or help them out a little bit?
Yeah, I think that unless people were trapped under a rock the past few months, people have heard about ChatGTP,
I
and
haven't.
also
What is it?
no, there are free AI tools popping up everywhere
Oh,
now.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
just want to mention, is it okay that I show my new book?
Yeah, of course.
So
Absolutely.
I wrote this book and
Next
I
gen
want to tell the
author.
story
Love it.
about how I wrote it. So my audience are people who like anything new. So putting words on a cover that they don't understand is going to excite them, not
Hmm.
scare them off. For other audiences, that would be scaring them off. So this is
Hmm.
definitely a first for this topic. So it's about how trend-setting creators can use Web3 and AI to set a new standard for authorship. Half of this book was written by my new friend Jasper. Jasper is and that's a paid tool, and
Yeah.
it's rather expensive. It's $99 per
I
month,
know.
and
I was looking into it. I'm like,
yeah, and
ooh,
I
that's
find that rather
pricey.
expensive. So there are
Hmm.
other tools that can do something like that. But of course, I've edited it, but it actually helped me by starting to. You ask it. It's like a human assistant. So you
Right.
need to talk to it as if it was a human. So I would put up some text like an introduction for the chapter. I would put a headline, and then I would say, write a chapter on this subject, and you should mention something about this and that. And then
Hmm.
I go make coffee and it just starts writing.
It's pretty
So
amazing. Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
it's pretty amazing. And then you can
And
improve from there. And also you get better at prompting
you get
and what
ideas.
to
Yeah.
write. But it
Thank you.
actually came up with a few things that I hadn't even thought about. But because these AI tools, they are based on machine learning, and
Right.
what they have learned is to predict what you might want to say next. So they look at what they know from reading 10% of the entire internet. That's how much it
Yeah.
has read. And then it also reads what I have put in there. I can put, I think, 3,000 characters as an introduction. So it knows my tone of voice, knows how in my topic, and then
Amazing.
it will continue right from there. But it actually came up with a few things that I hadn't done. So
Right.
I wanna, and I know we are getting towards our timeline, but I wanna
All
mention
good.
one more
All good.
thing. So it's not just text you can do with AI tools. So as when you're an author, and it's on purpose that I didn't put author. Well, it would have been double in in the title and subtitle. I put creator because it's all we create so much content. One thing is that we write for books, but we also write for social media and
Yeah.
for a whole lot of other things, emails, such things.
Yeah.
um, but it also has to do with images. So this image, uh, you can say, is it beautiful? I don't know, but I'm telling a
It
story
gets
in the
to the
book
point.
about
Yeah.
this,
Yeah. Yeah.
about this image. It's a human and a robot reading a book. And that's exactly what I put into Crayon, which was the tool I used. Now there are many more tools, but back in September when I was doing this, I could only get better access to that tool and to no other tool. so,
Right.
so
Right.
I had to
Right.
use the one I had, and I asked it. I just put that a human and a robot reading a book use sap ice cream colors, and it came up with this one.
Wow.
I think I had 3 tries, 3 or 4 revisions, and then it was pretty much what I had in my head.
That's
But
awesome.
I cannot draw something like this. So this means I created a book cover in like 30 minutes, uh, and of course you then need to have high resolution images, and
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
my designer helped me to make it high resolution because it wasn't. But they are
Right.
already. This was September. They're already so much better, these tools, and they're everywhere. And there are many of them are free right now. They're not going to stay free, so it's a
Yeah.
good time to get
Yeah.
in there and test,
Yeah.
play around with it.
Yeah, Jasper's one I've been looking at. I use copy.ai. It's a
Yeah,
little bit cheaper. It's like 50 bucks a month or whatever, but it helps me sometimes with my blog posting because I'll
yeah,
I'll have the topic in my head, but I'm like, oh, I just want to get like 10 points out. And it will help me. It will help you big time, you know. So I
yes,
believe in those AI thing tools too. I mean, I think that we've come a long way, right? Since we've started this computer stuff, since you were saying don't press enter to the next
Yeah,
line.
yeah,
I remember those classes.
yeah.
Anyway, I think, one of the things I love about our generation is that we were here prior to all of this technology,
Yes,
and we're still young enough and hip enough to enjoy the technology. And I
yes,
think that's the best generation, because that's the generation that had prior and now. And
yes.
we, like, and we're the last generation that had that, so it's pretty cool that we can experience this. Yeah.
And apart from artificial intelligence, we are getting into web free. So when I say web free, it's there was a web one. That's back when we could only read company pages and
Right.
blogs, and but we didn't need to find a Japanese magazine to read about what we loved. We could just go online and we could find information from the entire world. It was a
Right.
huge leap. Next, we had social media. That's web two.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
the problem with that is that all of our data, all of our the ownership is centralized on very few entities. So
Right.
it's not us who are owners of our own content on the internet. We are the product for other people who are making money on our content on the internet. So that's
Mhm.
web two. Web three is blockchain technology, and I know we don't have time to go get into details, but I want listeners and viewers of the show to be aware and be not reject when they hear web3 sounds technical, blockchain sounds technical. Some people immediately think about scams and financial
Yeah.
speculation, and but blockchain technology is the new internet, and it's gonna be for all of us. It's not a matter of whether we want to be part of it or not. That's how it's gonna be. Even the bigger social media platforms and also bigger like Visa and Mastercard and big brands in the fashion industry, they're all moving to Web3. So
Hmm.
that's definitely going to happen. So that's why I wanted to have time to mention that, so that when you see articles about these topics, uh, instead of rejecting it for as something that doesn't concern you,
Mhm.
know that it
Mhm.
will concern all of us. Just like we didn't think we would ever have Windows on a computer.
Right.
I'm from back from
Right.
Word Perfect, where you need to, it wasn't. I was teaching WYSIWYG. What
Right.
you see is what you get. It what
Right.
you see on your screen will get out on the computer. People have forgotten that's what it was like 20 years ago.
Right. Right. Right.
so
That's so
so it's
funny.
gonna be equally a big shift in how we do
Yeah.
business,
Yeah.
marketing, and publishing. And it opens up new opportunities for authors that we never had before. For example, to get paid immediately when somebody buy your book, to get paid again if the person who bought your book resell it on a marketplace. But there are many other ways of using it, and that's why I wrote this book,
That's
uh,
awesome.
to explain what is Web3 and what are NFTs, which especially I dive into NFTs. And then I give a framework for knowing with the kind and the mindset that your audience has. You call them emotional customer types. And I
Mhm.
outline four different. Once you have identified that, who are they? What will they appreciate? How quickly will they become adopters of this also? Uh,
Mhm.
what kind of strategies could you apply for your business? It's an
Wow.
excellent way of improving customer author reader relationships, and know who bought your books. You don't know that when you sell your books on Amazon. You
That's
have
true.
zero idea who bought them. Now you will actually have not their email address, but their wallet address, and you can send them more value. And even if they resell it, you will still know who has it, so that
Wow.
you can keep working on long term on your relationships with your audience,
Wow.
and even use that to give them a piece of the pie, so they are also
Mm.
invested in a monetary way. So it's completely new business models. It's
Yeah.
going to shift everything. So it's definitely worth educating yourself. And if you find the content out there a little bit difficult to understand because it's quite often very technical, I
Mhm.
think this might be an option. Even if you're not considering writing a book right now, I've tried to kind of make it from a business point of view, what does this mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, wow. So then what you're saying is I need you back on the show so you can help us understand it. That's what it sounds like to me. I
Yes.
think I need to have you back on because I'm interested now because you actually described me to a T. When I hear about blockchain, I immediately kind of shut down because
Yes.
I'm not
Yeah.
a tech person, right? So when
Yeah.
I hear it, it makes me nervous. Like, wait, I don't know what that is. I don't know. It was like
Yes.
crypto, right? Like crypto when it
Yeah.
first came up, I'm like, oh no, no, no. I don't know what
Yeah.
that is. I don't want to know about that,
Yeah.
And so I would love to have that kind of deeper conversation of knowledge so that you can bring that to the table to my audience. Would you come back
I'd
on
love.
at some
I'd love
point?
to. I would love to.
All right, people. Y'all heard her. She said it. She said it. I heard her. You heard her. Because I think that's a very no, honestly that would be a very impactful conversation and a conversation I really haven't had on the show yet. I've had a conversation, of course, of real estate and financing, and Airbnbs and all that because I like to bring people tools and knowledge. And you've
Yes.
dropped a lot of wisdom here today, like a lot of wisdom, right? And so those of you who are
Thank you.
writing, look into this AI stuff that she was talking about as well. Pick up her book as well because it's a lot of information in there, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy that. So before I let you go, though, I do want to know how people can kind of work with you and get in contact with you and start to get their book looked at so that they can start being the authors they want to be. So give us that information.
Well, I am on Twitter and LinkedIn. I am very much related to the Web3 topic. I lost my Facebook account, my Instagram account, my Messenger conversations in a split second because
Mm,
somebody hacked my accounts and they just chose to shut it down, which is a really good example of why it's a problem that we don't own our data.
right. That is a problem. That
I lost
is.
5 years of building an audience there.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I'm
Wow.
on,
Wow.
and I haven't even been able to create a new account. I get locked out, blocked out every time I try. So
Wow.
I've given up now. It's 6 months. I haven't been able to still. So I'm on Twitter and LinkedIn, and also starting a little bit on TikTok.
Okay.
That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, but what you're talking about, I bet you will go viral, especially when you start talking about this
It,
stuff that people don't know yet but are interested in. Yeah,
yes, it's definitely a platform for me and for also for the people that I mostly address,
right.
um, and also on Goosebump because it's that exciting. Goosebump, it's not plural, it's singular. Goosebump.pop for publishing, or where
Okay.
you go get a beer. Goosebump.pop. There is you can find the book there. You can find it on Amazon. But more importantly, if you want to stay informed about what's happening, because this is developing so quickly,
Yeah.
like nothing I've ever seen before that it was developed so quickly. The last 18 months, all of this happened.
Wow.
And every week there are new author services that I dive into to and explore and explain how can you use this. And there's a free membership on goosebump.pub that you can sign. You don't even need to log in. You can actually go to goosebump.world and don't even log in. If you want to receive notifications and receive the newsletters, then you need to sign in when you get in there. But goosebump.world is a free membership where you
Hmm.
can find a lot of information. It's a little bit in the form of a blog, but it also has free events.
Oh, cool. And that's for authors to go in and see
That's
what.
for non-fiction authors. That's who I write to.
Beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. That's awesome. Woo, girl, you came in here, dropped a whole bunch of stuff and knowledge, even got into blockchain. I love this conversation. You are the best. Thank you so much for coming on and giving our audience this amazing amount of wisdom. I know that this is going to really help people a lot. I really do. I know it's going to help people a lot. And I really do speak to a lot of authors, a lot of authors. So this will be really impactful. Our downloads are up, so which is good. That means people are listening. And so I'm really glad that you came on. I thank you for coming from across the ocean and hanging out with me. I'm truly grateful. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun.
It's so awesome. Guys, you heard that, right? I mean, this is why I love doing this show, because I meet people who are absolutely amazing at what they do and their craft. And I know that you guys got a lot out of this. I know you did. So I'm going to go ahead and link all of what she just spoke about, her information and the websites that she has. I think she gave me all of that info prior. I'm going to make sure to put that into the notes so that you guys can go on there and get your writing on. This is Neena Perez. This is Straight Talk, no sugar added. Until next time.